The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. We've got my first write-in. This is a first write-in email. So you always remember your first time, unless you're drunk at the time, and you don't. Well, I got awkward. Anyway, howdy Perch. Firstly, thanks for talking about comics. Where I'm from, most folks really aren't too invested in the subject. Neither are my folks really. Though my father loved Bronze Age Jonah Hex. All right. I end up talking with my rabbi, who introduced me to your channel. Okay, hang on. I'm going to have to unpack that one. Your rabbi introduced you to this channel? All right. Okay. I don't know who this rabbi is, but who's listening, but cool. I'm thankful for the listen. That's cool. Okay. Cool. Very impressed. About all the stuff. Sorry, I end up either talking with my rabbi about the stuff or watching you amongst other comic YouTubers, usually Casually Comics, awesome channel, Comic Tropes, Miller Time. I love Miller Time. My question is, why do you think it is still common to view any form of illustrated literature as a lesser medium? Cartoons and animation struggle with legitimacy as well, even though the production on something as small as a short film is likely to take ages to complete. Just because something has pictures or is live action doesn't mean it isn't beautiful, legitimate storytelling. All right, totally agree. And I mean, look, it's a dumb point, right? To have to argue. You've seen enough animation and illustrated work at all age groups. Just like there's Marvel's Elf from the 80s, there's also Mouse, which is not that genre. You've got Watchmen sitting up there next to whatever in the hell the Carnage event series right now. Boy, that's just terrible. I'm sorry. And again, a lot of new writers on that thing, but oof, that is not a well produced little comic right there. But anyway, you've got lots of different quality types. You've got lots of different material for different people, different age groups, different all that kind of stuff, different maturities in comics, in animation, in movies. I mean, it's a stupid argument to keep having, but that is the crux of your question. Why is it seen as lesser? Because it's seen for kids, because it's not seen for grown-ups, because it's throwaway work. That's it. And that attitude persists, even though it's completely insane at this point. After all that has happened and all the work that has gone in, it's still viewed that way, and it's a hardwired kind of mentality. I mean, you could get really like paranoid down the rabbit hole and say that it's a systemic effort by Hollywood's elite to make sure the actors are protected, since if animation really goes strong, then what do you need what do you need actors for? I still maintain to this day the thing that DC should have done was create their own Pixar version of themselves, as opposed to hire James Gunn to attempt to copy the Marvel formula again. And maybe it'll work out. I know I've done other videos on this. I'm super negative on everything that Gunn is, the plans. And I do want to see good movies, though. So don't get me wrong. I would love to be. This is one of those absolutely would love to be wrong. Definitely would love to go to the theater and be entertained and see some wonder and everything else. I would love it. I just, given Gunn's style of writing and storytelling and what we've seen from his work in the MCU, what we've seen with Peacemaker, and I like Peacemaker, but I don't want the entire DC universe to be that. But more than that, I want these comic companies to actually try to innovate and do something new and exciting, as opposed to hey, we got to catch up with Marvel, so therefore let's just try and copy exactly what they're doing. That's our answer. That I just want to see something new. Anyway, but they wouldn't do it for the reasons kind of indicated in this mail. It would be seen as lesser. It's like, oh, it's just animation. Despite the fact that again, Pixar has made billions of dollars. Like Pixar has made more money than certainly anything DC has done or has any prayer of doing in many ways. So I mean, it's all this stuff is kind of silly, but at the end, it's just lesser. That's why it's just considered kid stuff. And as long as that's the mentality, that's where we're going to wind up. I don't know. I think that it would have, if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. Unfortunately, there's not a, we, with all of the strength and the power and everything else that we've seen from animation. When I say power, I certainly good storytelling in a lot of cases, but I'm more talking just money. It's a lot of money that has been produced by animation. So it would have happened by now. If it was going to happen, it would have happened. Now for comic books and other things, I mean, in that case, it's slightly different, but it still is. Comic books historically were made for kids. And I remember an argument that I had with Eric Larson, I don't know, this is several years ago now, where he didn't like the word comic books. He just doesn't like the term. But he does like the word funnies to describe the comic books. They're funnies. And we went back and forth. There's an argument of kind of, at the end of the day, it's personal taste. But it kind of wrapped up in all that was kind of Larson's, these aren't books. These aren't at that level, more or less. They're funnies. They're it just, I don't know. There's a hardwired mentality in people that comic books are not at the same level as books. They're different things. They're not at that quality level, not at that skill level, and they're lesser. And you get people, it's like, who's going to be respected more, Chris Claremont or Stephen King? Well, Stephen King. Chris Claremont sold a huge amount of books. And by the way, you can expand this. You can go to Oda in Japan or Rumiko Takahashi. I think last time I checked, I think Takahashi actually has a higher net worth than Stephen King. And yet, one does the funnies and one is a author. And it's just, it's lesser. But kind of what I was saying, it's not going to change. If it hasn't changed by now, I mean, we've had 2 solid decades of extreme proof that animation and comic books are just different forms of storytelling, just as equal and sometimes better because you get a more pure, vision from the creator than live action or books. It stands right up there with it, but it's forever branded as kid stuff, even as it appeals to adults. It's still kid stuff. And just one more thing to kind of toss on the end of this. I suspect that some of the mood that people sometimes get from creators, and I'm not talking about the social media stuff, but when a comic writer, comic artist is a little grumpy about their craft, and several of you have written in, one individual in particular was pretty grumpy during a recent con. Why are they grumpy? Why are they frustrated? In some cases, it's because they're stuck in the lesser medium. And I do think that weighs on people. There's people who truly love comics. There's people who get tired over time of, forever being the secondary thing. Even when sometimes it's more labor intensive, it's certainly more kind of pure to whatever the storytelling vision is. Doesn't matter. And so it explains kind of one type of mood that you might see. But at the end of the day, it's because it's viewed as kid stuff. And so it's by nature less. And it's a screwed up mentality, but that's definitely a U.S. mentality, by the way. You go over to Japan, not the case at all. That's definitely not how it's viewed over there. And maybe that's why you're seeing a resurgence or kind of a big push over there, because, there's just more inherent respect for that type of storytelling, and it shows. Don't know. Food for thought. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for being the first time writer here, and say hello to your rabbi for me. Thanks.